here's my question. Can you be a good capitalist, as I think I am, or a believer in capitalism, and still think there should be some cap on wealth?
Well, you have to, Americans believe that people should be able to make it. They should be successful. It's one of the things that really makes our country work. We don't think necessarily that someone who's worth 100 million, even a billion, maybe even a trillion, is necessarily a bad thing, where many other countries they do. But there has to be opportunity for the average American and their kids to get there. And the fact that we saw Graham Plattner came out immediately today, there should never be another trillionaire. You know, you see Elizabeth Warren, you'll see Robert Reich, every billionaire is a policy failure. That reflects the fact that a whole bunch of Americans feel like they don't trust their leaders, they don't trust these elites, that Elon, the first trillionaire, also happens to be the person that gave the most money to the Trump administration, $250 million. They don't feel like that's a coincidence, and that they don't have that kind of access, no matter how smart they are, no matter how hard they work. So for me, it's not about the money. For me, it's about the lack of mobility, the lack of opportunity,
so
the fact that we don't believe in the American dream.
Should be able to have a trillionaire? Do you agree with that? Not a billionaire.
I don't really have a problem with it, because I don't have a problem with how these billionaires and now single trillionaire made their money, because they've grown these companies, they've built them. But the wealth gap that you're talking about, it's important, because you don't want people to feel that their very real economic suffering is because of the billionaires. You want it when the tides rise, that all the boats rise with it, right? And I think that there's a danger in viewing the billionaires as the problem, because then it leads from there people to say it's our economic system that isn't working, therefore it's capitalism that isn't working. And the problem with that, and you're already seeing those seeds being planted, right? Mamdani, that's his big arguments were about socialism and things like that. And the thing is, what you need certain regulations, maybe it's taxes, maybe things that can indicate to people it's not because of the billionaires. The billionaires are doing business and innovation, and hopefully that has job growth. It's other ways that you want them to believe that there's opportunity that they can pursue, but it's not because of the billionaires.
Okay, but you guys keep saying billionaires, and the story today is trillion.
Fair.
Trillion. Okay,
Fair.
Can we just get real about this? A trillion? Would it be crazy to have a law that said you can't go above 1% of gross domestic product, gross national product? You as one person. Because when John D. Rockefeller reached that, they did make laws. 1%, I think it's still a pretty big flex if you're trying to pick up a woman.
I'm a happy...
You know, if you're like, what do you drive? What do I drive? I'm worth 1% of the United States.